Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Severely Mame, and this is part 2 of my 4-part series on making a human hair wig. Now, I finished the wig. I am wearing it currently. I am very happy with how it's come out, and this video is all about using the dip dye method to get this beautiful orange color. Now, I watched a bunch of videos here on YouTube on how to do this, and I followed the directions that most people use to do it. The major difference is when you find a lot of people doing this method, a lot of them use Adore colors, and I went for Pravana Chroma Silks in orange, the Orange Vivid. I use that color because it's my favorite orange. I have a bunch of hair pieces that are dyed that same orange, and I was curious if I was going to get the same effect using the watercolor method and the Pravana color on this hair, and I really got exactly what I wanted. The color is perfect. As you'll see in this video, I did it a little bit longer than the people in other videos do, but I think it was, I don't know if it was because the color I wanted or because of using the Pravana versus the Adore color. But I just wanted to intro this video a little bit, show you how the color finished, and now let's just get into how I did it. By now you've seen me make and fit this head form and fit my wig cap. Now I'm going to move on to dyeing my hair bundles. I have 4 altogether. 1 has already been dyed. I did it as a trial. And then I have my closure, which is lace. So I'm going to do the watercolor method of dye for this process, and I did a tester and it came out good. I'm excited to see how this goes on the next one. I have 4 bundles total for the wig plus the closure. I'm going to fill this baby up with hot water and then we will get started. I've watched a few videos on how this is done. I'm hoping I can get it to work as seamlessly as some of the people who I've watched. I know for my first trial that I need to use hotter water and more dye. I had only done 1 bundle that time, so I didn't use a ton of dye and the water got kind of cool. So it has to sit for a while, probably because of the color I'm using. I have 3 tubes of Pravana Chroma Silk Vivids in orange. I'm gonna use about 2.5 to do in my water bath and save a little to paint the closure so I don't get dye on the lace. I'm gonna dip dye half of it, but not all of it. I'm gonna get some hot water and get started. Okay, so here I'm going to start adding the color. I had said that I'm gonna use about 2.5 tubes. What I end up doing is, in the long run, is I end up doing 2 batches because I only put 2 tubes in this first dye bath. I realized that was a mistake partway through, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So this is only 2 tubes of the Pravana Chroma Silks in orange. Now once I've added all of this color, I actually just went with the same method I've seen other people use in videos, which is to use a comb to help mix it into the water. It actually did the trick fairly well. Also, I can't think of what else I would use. Maybe some sort of kitchen utensil. I think this works out really well. If you have a better tool idea, please tell me in the comments. Even though I think this worked well, I know I'll end up using this method again in the future, and if I can perfect it even more, I would love to. Okay, so here I'm now cutting my bundles open. They are put together with the little tag, the little T-tags, plastic ones, and I made a mistake here. I should have completely unrolled these and kind of re-rolled them looser or folded them looser, because just cutting these and unrolling them a bit ended up giving me problems as I went on. So after incorrectly doing this, I brushed them a little bit so it would be broken up and the water would be able to get through, and then submerged them all into the water at the same time. I then put in the closure, which I planned to not submerge completely. I was going to leave the lace and the roots out of the water, but was having a hard time doing that. It just kind of kept sinking back in. And this ended up not being a problem like I thought it was going to be. I thought that the lace could potentially die, but I lucked out in that I think maybe because I used the professional grade dye, it didn't dye the lace at all. But also, it gave me the problem that it didn't dye any threads on my bundles, which I didn't have any problem with when it came to the sewing, but I think other people might not like that. So now that they're in, I'm just keeping them moving in the water. I come around here to the front to just see kind of see it from another angle. And here's where I think I'm starting to realize that I had made a mistake and that my bundles were not dyeing super evenly because the inside of the rolls were not getting as much water and dye to them. Now, when I'm watching this video, I can tell that the majority of the dye has been absorbed already into these bundles. The color looks nice, and it does end up getting darker, but they've absorbed it for the majority. Like, the water has went from the bright orange that I like to a more muted yellow. So now I know that it is a quick process, especially with like the hot water in this. I did not need to actually leave this as long as I did. Okay, so here I've realized the error of my ways. The insides of the bundles, because I did not unroll them completely, are not dyeing the same as the outside. I unrolled them all and tried to fix it, but there was not enough dye left in this bath. So I ended up going and putting in the entire third tube that I had. Because the lace and the root worked out on my closure, I didn't have to save any to paint on later. So I put in another tube of dye to give the ends that didn't get as much of it a second shot, and it ended up working out fine. My hair became fairly even, and when I do this bath, I end up putting in the bundle that I did the test on, which it was different hair. It was not as like nice and didn't take the color as well as these ones did. And I thought for a while it was because I used a different like amount of dye and did it at a different time. And then after I put it in this bath and it did not do anything, I realized it was the hair. It might be a blend and it was just marked 100% human hair, but it's in the wig now and it still looks fine and acts like human hair, so I'm not mad. This is all a learning endeavor for me. But here I just submerge them all back in and give them a second dye bath, and this color ends up really working out well. Okay, so this is just a shot of what the hair looked like in the dye bath. You can see that at this point the dye had gone from orange to a yellow, so it probably was not depositing very much for color anymore. I've now learned what I need to look out for when I'm doing this, and my learning hopefully can help all of you a little bit. So I'm very happy with how the color came out, and at this point I decided it was time to rinse and shampoo all of these pieces. But first I had to detangle them because I let them become a mess in that bath because I had messed up and not unrolled them at the beginning. But I have now learned my lesson to fully unroll a bundle and then refold it or re-roll it loosely before you put it into the water. But all in all, lots of hair to do this with. Okay, so I'm gonna work on detangling these, then I'm going to lightly shampoo to get any color residue out, then condition and comb them through straight. I'm gonna hang them to dry, and then tomorrow I will start sewing them on, but that will be a whole nother video. Pretty much, it looks like the 3 bundles from one set and the closure all dyed the same. The odd hair piece out is not taking it as well, so I'm leaving it. The one that I already did. I'm leaving it in the leftover dye a little bit longer to see if it gets any darker. I doubt at this point that it will, but I don't have any more color, and it's not looking like it's gonna be an exact match. But I think that might be fine, and if anything, if it's really noticeable once the wig is put together, I can go in and dye the whole thing again, or just the tracks that need it. I obviously made some mistakes here. The bundles got unraveled and didn't want to dye evenly when they were bundled up. So they're a little tangled now. It's gonna take me a minute to undo that. I'm gonna do that off camera. But for the most part, I think I'm pretty happy. So I have taken my wefts or bundles, whatever you call them, and after I got them a little bit detangled, I refolded them into about half the size each bundle, and then I put them on these clip hangers to dry. I towel dried them by putting them, laying them down in their little bundled section and rolling and pressing out the water before I put them on here to hang dry. While they were hanging, I did a little bit of finger combing just to get any knots out, and I'm gonna do a little bit more of that now that they are dry. The color between them, this color is great. This color came out a little light. This is the 4th bundle that I got in like, that's different, and it wasn't as golden a base as this one. The frontal or closure looks good. Sorry, my lighting isn't great right now. But all around, I'm happy with how these dyed. I think they, like with this exception being a little lighter, I'm pretty happy. I'm excited to go through, comb these out a little more, and then section them off into my 18, 2 20s, and 1 22-inch bundles and get them ready to sew. So I just wanted to give you a like kind of 360 look at the color that ended up happening here. It's a little more vibrant than it's showing in this video. I'm struggling to get the lighting right, but this is how the bundles all ended up looking, even with the lighter one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I'm severely maimed. This was part 2 of a 4-part series. Next week, I'm moving on to the next step, which is going to be sewing in all of the hair and the elastic band, getting the wig ready to wear. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow the link below for my Patreon, where I post exclusive content every day, and along with a bunch of other fun perks. Keep an eye out for the next part in this series, and I'll be seeing you very soon.